Welcome to the rigging video. So in the previous videos, the previous video series, we finished the character. So the next step is to rig and animate. So this part of the video series will be about rigging a character. Okay, so let's get into it. So just to quickly explain to you what I have done with the character is, if I just quickly open this group. So what I've done is I've taken all the elements, okay, so for example her jacket and the skirt and the body as well, okay. So what I've done with them is, if I go to my modify panel, I have removed the, or not removed, I basically collapsed my modifier stack. So I removed, by doing that I removed the symmetry, and if it had a shell applied to the clothing, whatever. So that is what you need to do for this character. Okay. So also before you do that, what I did was, here's my original file. So I just made a duplicate of it and I just called it character rigged. Okay, so you can rename it whatever you want. It's just this one still has all of my symmetry applied, so if I ever want to maybe make changes to the character, I can do that. But I can do that in the rigged one as well, but it's just my personal preference. I have two separate files, so you can do with yours, make a duplicate if you want to. Okay, so basically all I did is I just took all of the stuff. So I had, for example, the jacket selected, and you just right click and you convert that again into an editable poly. But before you do that, okay, you need to, if you had symmetry and a shell applied and whatever, delete your turbo smooth. So you right click and you delete your turbo smooth. Okay, so if you don't do that, have a look what happens. If I have my jacket selected and I right click and convert it with an editable poly with the turbo smooth applied, okay, then you get something that looks like that. Okay, because the editable poly is just messing around with that. So you want to delete your turbo smooth, and then you right click, you convert it into an editable poly, and then you can go and add your turbo smooth back. Okay, so I did that for the jacket and everything that had it applied, and it looks like I forgot about this section here, but it's not such a big deal. I can just quickly right click, convert that into an editable poly, and I think this one as well, I'll convert that. Okay, so everything else should be fine. And I see I forgot about the dress as well. Okay, I missed that shell, so let me right click, delete that, convert it into an editable poly, apply my turbo smooth, and there we go. Okay, so I still have my individual shoes, and then basically all I did was I just selected everything, and then I just went up to group, and then I just grouped it. That's basically it. So I'm gonna go and close this group. Okay, so now I have this complete character and it is grouped. So now I can start to rig. So the very first thing that you want to do when you want to rig your character is, again, in your front view, you need to make sure that this is exactly in the center. Your character needs to be in the center of this axis. Okay, this little grid needs to be exactly in the center. Okay, you'll see why in a moment. Okay, so once I have that, I'm just going to right click and freeze my selection. Okay, no man. Okay, so right click and freeze selection, or you can go to object properties and you can go freeze and make sure that this show frozen in gray is deselected, and then we click OK. So now I can't select my character. Okay, so let's get started. In my left view, I'm going to hit F3 to go to my wireframe mode. But I think before I get started with this, let me quickly show you guys something. Go to my create panel, and here right at the end you have systems. Okay, so systems, you have bones and you have biped. Okay, so you can use either one. For this particular character, I'm gonna focus more on the bones, because I feel with the bones you have more, what's the word? Okay, you have more options. Okay, I can go and have more flexibility, if I can put it like that. So let me quickly show you what the biped looks like. So if I quickly go and drag out a biped, okay, so that's what a biped looks like. So you can take this and connect it to your character and it will work. Yeah, so for a female character like this, which has which pretty much has normal features, there's no deformation, there's not a weird alien creature, stuff like that, you can go and you'll at least see on the right hand side you have a whole bunch of options that you can use. For example, neck links. So if you made a giraffe, you can go and create as many neck links as you want. Okay, you also have spine links. Yeah, so if you want a character to be pretty flexible, then you can up the spine links. You also have leg links. You can go up to a maximum of 4, which will give you something like that. Okay, then you also have tail links. Okay, and then you also have ponytail links, which you can go and mess around with. You can go add a few fingers. Okay, so make sure this guy's not flipping us off. Oh, wrong one. So you can add about 5 fingers, and you can add finger links to make them longer or shorter. You can go add some toes as well, so you can add 5 toes, and you can have 3 or 2 or 1 joints basically. Okay, here you can also go and adjust your height. Okay, so you can go adjust how tall this character should be. Okay, so that's basically the biped system, but this is not the one that I'm going to use in this video. If you are interested to learn more about the biped system, then you can go and do your own research on this. Okay, so for me personally, I like to use the bones, because then I can actually create my own skeleton basically, instead of having this pre-built one. Okay, I just like the flexibility, so I'll just go and delete that. So now let's get started. So when you use the bones, okay, like I just said, you create your own skeleton. So one thing that I do want to do before I use the bones is I want to go up to animation and then bone tools. Okay, I want to have this dialog box open because I'm going to be using a few of the options available in the bone tools. So I'll go and activate bones, and I'm going to go to my left view, and I'll hit F3 to bring up my wireframe so I can actually see my bones. So all you need to do to create bones, you click once where you want to start it, and then you just drag down. So I can make one big bone over here, because if you think you only have like one bone, there's not multiple ones in your leg, because your leg can't bend there. If your leg bends there, you have a problem. So I'm going to click and then drag, make one at the knee, and then go make one there just above the ankle, and then I can make another one for the foot, and then I can click and drag out, and then I can right click to end that. Okay, so now if we go to my perspective view, I have my bone. Now I'll just right click just to get out of bone editing mode, and now I can double click this bone and I can actually move it. So let me double click this top one, and now I can actually go and move it into place. I can grab my rotate tool. Okay, make sure your angle snap is turned off, and then I can actually go rotate this and put this in position. So I can again go to my left view, make sure that's fine, go to my front view. Okay, maybe push this over a little bit. Okay, so if you're struggling to get it perfectly aligned, okay, like I'm having now, you can actually go and use this bone edit mode. Okay, so I'm going to click on bone edit mode, and now with that selected, I can select this bone, and then I can move this individually. So I can maybe take this up a little bit if I wanted to. I can take this one individually, move it over a little bit, take this one, move it, take the nub, this is known as a nub, take that, push that over, go to my left view, make sure all of this is still fine. Okay, I'm going to be adjusting this thing anyway, because this is a little bit too big for the foot. Foot's not really fitting in here, but we're gonna go and adjust that later on. Okay, I can hit F3 again just to have a look at this. I can go push this back. Okay, don't worry if this is sticking out of your character. You're gonna hide this anywhere in your render. Okay, so don't worry if that's sticking out. Okay, and I think I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Okay, so when it comes to these bones, okay, you also want to make sure that you don't have them too big. Like you can see, this bone over here is way too big. So all you do is, we're still with bone edit mode, you select this bone, you go to your modify panel, and here you have your width and your height. So I can, for example, make the value maybe about 1. That should be fine. I can maybe try 2 just to see what that looks like. I think 2 might be a I think 2 might be a good value. Okay, I can always come back and adjust it if I feel that it's not really giving me what I want. Okay, then what I'm going to do with this one, I can either go and resize this manually, or I can just go delete that nub, then select this bone and go create end, and that'll just give me a slightly shorter one. Okay, then I can go to my rotate tool and I can rotate that a little bit. Okay, just to get that aligned. So this doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Like you can see, some of the stuff is sticking out, it's not going all the way to the toes, but we're going to do something later on to make sure that the bones actually affect whatever it's surrounding. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Now let's go and mirror the leg over, because obviously we need to have that the exact same. So the way that we would do that is, I'm going to use a helper. So if I go to my create panel and I have helpers, okay, I have something called a point helper. Okay, so point helper, I'm just going to click it anyway just to create that, and that is what a point helper looks like. Okay, it looks like that. So what I'm going to do is, I want to align this helper to my bone. So shortcut to align is Shift and A. Okay, and that'll convert your cursor into that little icon. And then with this still selected, I'll just click on this top bone, and there you can see it has been aligned. It's not connected, it's just aligned to that point. Okay, so here is why I said your character needs to be in the center. Okay, because what I'm going to do with this helper, I have my X value over here, because this is my X axis. So what I'm going to do, in front of this X axis down here at the bottom, I'm going to hit minus in front of that and hit enter, and that'll move it over to this side. Then what I'll do, I'll double click my bone, make sure I have everything selected. Then I'll just go up here to mirror, and I'll make a copy, and I'll click OK. Then okay, let's see why this thing did this now. Let me quickly redo that. Let me go out of bone editing mode. Let me select this and mirror, make a copy. There we go. Okay, so make sure that you have bone edit mode deselected before you do that. Okay, so with this bone selected, I can again hit Shift A and then select the helper. There we go. And now it has been aligned to that point. So I can go select my helper and delete that. I don't need that anymore. So now I can see that this is exactly the same as the other side. Okay, so that's looking good. And that is basically what you do with the bone tool. Okay, so if you had, for example, a barefoot character, all you would do is just simply, I'm actually going to explain that when I go into the hands. You're going to go create another bone over here and another bone over there. You're going to have one in the hand, and you're going to have separate pieces for all your fingers. Okay, so this is just a brief look at getting started with the bone tool. So I'm going to stop the video here and make a new one, because otherwise I don't want to make them too long and the file size gets too big. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.